Hello everyone, it's Carol here at Oak House Journals, just taking my glasses off. Warm welcome, lovely to have you with me on my channel again today, and as you can see I've got my prompts in front of me and my background paper ready to do one of Margarete Miller's Collage Weekly Planner project assignments today. I'm going to do assignment 21, but literally I've just finished doing assignment number 20, and I thought I would just have a quick look and see what the prompts are for next week, week 21. And the minute I read through the prompt list, I knew exactly what bits and pieces I wanted to use. So I've pulled them out. And then having pulled them out, I want to play with them. So I'm going to do my assignment. It's going to be a week early, but I will schedule it so it goes out at the usual time. So it makes no difference to you, but I just wanted to play today. So going through the prompts, a window or a door. Well, here in the UK, most of us are still very much in royal mode or coronation mode, and I immediately knew which door I wanted to use, and it was this one. Now this is the door to the Queen's Gallery at Holyrood House. Now I've been lucky enough to see this in the flesh, and it is absolutely exquisite. This picture really doesn't do it justice, but the picture on its own is amazing. So I wanted to use this one. I have printed it off quite large, but I do have another copy off to my left hand side that is a smaller scale in case this one proves to be a little bit too big for the collage that I have in mind. So that's prompt number 1. Prompt number 2 and 3. Prompt 2 is something stenciled, and prompt 3 is blue ink. Now I have this gorgeous paper bag that is one of Jeff's creations. I just love your work, Jeff, I really do. And as you can see, Jeff sent me some bits and bobs inside this bag, and I wanted to use it because he's got stenciling and just thinking about it, I was going to say because he's used some stenciling on here but also some ink, but actually thinking about it, the colours on here, whilst they're absolutely perfect for my project, if I put it next to the door, I'm just thinking that these actually might not be inks, it might be paint, and it's more likely to be paint. Okay, so not a problem. I can use this for my background. I was going to say that I may well stencil over the top of it myself. I can still do that, but also I can add some blue ink and just use this as my background. So leave that one with me. A musical instrument, well, I saw these. Now these are custom made hand painted cellos, and I just thought these were exquisite, and they hit the blue and almost gold theme. So I'm going to be using one of those images. The next prompt was a postage stamp. With this being the Queen's Gallery and a royal theme, I thought that I would use the Queen's image, but when I looked in my stash, the only stamp that I had that was going to fit in really was this one, and I'm not that keen on it really. So I had another look round and I've come up with this one, an image of the Palace of Luxembourg in Paris. And that stands out a bit better, and it hits the Holyrood House Palace theme, the royal theme. The other option was this one because of gold on it, and obviously that is a king with a sceptre and the orb and a crown. It's not a British king by any means, but that is potentially doable on my piece. Or the other one was this one, purely because of the age really of the image and the background colour. I thought that might work. Not so sure as I'm auditioning it really, but we'll see. I've got some options there. I've got 3 options there to play with, so we'll see about those. And then the final prompt, the bonus prompt, was brown or craft paper. Well, this is some brown paper that had a book in it that I brought back from holiday, brought back from Australia earlier on in the year, and I kept it because of this lovely writing that's on it. I particularly liked A Grand Baronial House. I could use some of this writing to hit the brown or craft paper prompt, or I could just use it plain. I'll have to see how my piece pans out before I make a decision on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is get out my scissors and fussy cut my two cellos to decide which one of these I want to use. So I'm going to do that, and I will be back in just 1 second. This is my little cello fussy cut out now. I've decided to use the one that was at a slight angle. That's the other one. I think it will look better leaning up against the doorway, so I'm going to be using that. So I'm going to pop that to one side. Now what I'm going to do is work on getting this onto my background. I've cut my backgrounds bigger than I actually need, but I just wanted to get a feel for what it looked like on my page. It doesn't quite meet the borders on my left side or my right side, and at the top and the bottom I've just folded it over as you saw, so I may well do some more trimming down, but for the moment I'm going to leave that like that so that I can get a feel. Now this is the original image, and as you can see it's quite big. I wasn't planning to use all of it on my page, so what I think I will do is rip away a portion and just have part of it on my page like that. Where's my cello? Then I thought I could have my cello something like that. I'm liking that it's picking up that blue line of the steps there. That's looking a little bit lost there. Got to get my text in. So I think this needs to be bigger, or I have it further out like that so that it stands up a bit or stands out a bit. I fussy cut out this little cello, but when I've put it against my piece, I think that it's lost. Whilst it might be almost to the correct scale, on this piece it's really going to be lost because it's going to go against this background, as I've mentioned. So I think it's just going to be completely lost, if I'm honest. I folded this piece just roughly, so it's not straight, but I folded it and I have trimmed it slightly at the top and at the bottom. And if I put the cello on there like that, I don't know, I'm thinking it's going to be lost because the other elements are all a little bit small. So I think the stamp that I'm going to use is this one to pull in the golds, and if I do something like that, I like the overall effect, but this is too big and this is too small. So what I'm thinking is to revert to a larger size cello. So I've cut out a much bigger one. So let's pop this against this. I know it's not going to be to scale, but I don't think it's lost as much. And I'm thinking of having my stamp something like that. I've got to get my brown paper in, but I'm actually wondering whether to change this one out for the smaller one. So I'm just going to try that one to get a better idea of how these pieces looked if I had them in the right position. I've just added some paper clips and I'm really happy with that layout there. And now what I've got to do is I've got to figure out how I can get this on my piece. Sorry, the sun's just decided to come out. So what I thought I would try and do is rip that across there so that I can get a grand baronial house. I might have to sacrifice this line of text here, witty and warm-hearted, to do that, but we'll see. let me just bring this back in again so that I can have a look at it. Ideally, it would be nice to get it going across the top, but it's too big. So I'm wondering about just using the words baronial house and seeing if I can get them to do something like that. If I dropped it all down, I could get the whole of that, or if I moved it all across, then I could have it down this side. So let me have a play with those. I'm going to take that out of the way and just gently pull those like that. I could have that there. I could rip that away so you don't see that writing there. Maybe even pull that up a little bit, and that would have to be in there, something like that. It's all too much over the left hand side, so that's not working for me. If I pull that down, just gently pull that up a little bit like that, I could actually have my stamp there. I'm just going to pull the blind. That's better. I couldn't see what it was looking like, let alone you. So I could go with something like that. Now actually, I quite like that. That is working for me, especially if I stagger my stamp, and I could use the cello to hide that little bit of writing there. Yes, everything still is down my left hand side. I've just folded this image, and what I could do is cut it and move this all over, and that's what I'm going to do, everybody. I like how this is. I don't even want to audition that down this left hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully put a dab of glue in one or two places to hold everything in place so that I can get it positioned right on my page. Now I'm going to trim this left-hand edge of this image. Normally I'm really conscious about trying to keep my pieces balanced and not have everything over to one side or the other. And this week it's obviously not the case. I've got everything going down this right hand side. But what I did think I might do is grab a little bit more of my brown paper and try putting a little bit on this left hand side to balance it up a little bit. And as you can see, I'm moving it more into the center of my piece. I'm leaving that for the time being. Right, I'm just going to take this portion off the bottom here, and of course I've chosen the bit with some sellotape on because as I mentioned before, it was just wrapping paper around a book. So let's see what it looks like if I put a piece of this in. Yeah, I'm liking that to balance it up. So I'm going to trim it off or square it off. Oops, can't see how it looks unless you have everything in place. Don't want much of it showing, just a little bit to make it feel more balanced. I'm actually liking that. Maybe pull a bit more down at the bottom here. Yeah, I'm okay with that, so I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back here. Now, rather than rely on this for my stenciling and blue ink, I'm going to put a little bit of stenciling on here, and I think I'm going to do it down in this corner down here. I'm just going to use one of these Tim Holtz layered stencil sets, and this is set number 33. It's one of my pretty much one of my go-tos, and for the ink I'm going to use weathered wood and just distress ink, not distress oxide, and I'm just going to apply it through a little foam dauber that I would normally attach to a blending tool, but I'm just going to hold it in my fingers and blend. Bring in my piece and something to lean on. This is my glue book, and I'm just going to do something hopefully very subtle down in this corner, maybe a little bit up there, just to kind of balance it out a little bit. Just about pick that out. I've taken over the stamp, hasn't really shown up much, but I think that's enough. And then I'm just going to just pick it up on here as well. I've actually trimmed this to size. Before I did that, I glued down the little flaps that I had at the top and the bottom, and then I've just straightened up the edges on either side, and I've trimmed a little bit off the top and the bottom so that it just sits inside the pencil border that I've got on my page. And I think I'm going to have it, no, I'm going to have it that way round. So I'm just going to glue this in place now. Oh, doesn't that look gorgeous on there? Looks absolutely stunning. Love the colours on this. So all I need to do now is to glue this into place. Got that a little bit low down here, but I think that's going to be okay. It doesn't ruin it too much. I probably could peel that off, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to turn it over, use my bone folder on the back to just help it stick, and there we go. That's my finished piece. Oh, need a little bit of glue behind that bit, so let me just quickly do that. That was the seam of the bottom of the bag, and the other side is fine. I've just felt it. Maybe a little bit of glue under that corner as well. There we go. So there we go, everybody. Thank you for watching. I'll quickly go through the prompts for this week. A window or a door? Well, I went with the Queen's Gallery door at Holyrood House. Something stenciled? Well, I've actually stenciled some circles on here, and I did them in weathered wood distress ink, so I've hit that prompt, but I also think that I've got stenciling and ink on the back. If not ink, then I've got acrylic paint. So in one way or another, I've got something stenciled and blue ink on my piece this week. A musical instrument? Well, I went with this gorgeous custom painted cello here. A postage stamp? Well, I went with this very regal one, which I felt was in keeping in terms of the colours and the royal theme that I've got going on my page. And finally, the bonus, brown or craft paper. Well, I went with some brown wrapping paper, so I've got plain brown wrapping paper at the bottom here, and also a portion that's been written on there. So as always, I'll do some photographs at the end, everybody, so that you can have a closer look if you'd like to. Please go and check out the door at Holyrood House. It is spectacular. If you're ever in the vicinity, please just go and check it out. It's wonderful. So until next week, everybody, take care. Have a brilliant week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye now.